I realized I am so in over my head. I don't know how to do this. And I felt the Holy Spirit say, that's exactly where I like you, because then you have to lean on me. This isn't about you. And then you just do one step at a time.
One thing that differs, and again, another thing that differs of our story, but I honor it. You adopt this child.
Yeah.
You can't, and Vicky adopts as well. You don't adopt by accident.
No.
I mean, there's people, and I don't believe in accidents. I even think it's disrespectful to call anybody, but sometimes there's surprises.
Right.
My third
Special
child,
blessings.
he was a special blessing. He was a surprise that sometimes we blame on a fortune cookie.
Right.
That they were just, what, you know, I opened a fortune cookie on a birthday one time for Jessica, and it said a small gift will bring joy to the family. And then, you know, we're laughing. Could you imagine 6 weeks later she's pregnant and we blame her, you know, we're Pentecostal. We're like, oh my God, we played with witchcraft. Shouldn't have read that fortune cookie now. We have a child.
That's right.
But, you know, we had a surprise, but you can't adopt by accident.
No, I was sitting at a women's conference. I don't know when God kind of struck you. I didn't think I could be a mom, because I just thought, I'm single. You know, that's not anything I'm going to get to do. And I still think best case scenario is kids have a mama and a daddy. But I was at a women's conference and I heard this. I went to a missions breakout seminar because I thought the woman was interesting and I wouldn't fall asleep. And I thought it was on foreign missions. She started talking about adoption. And she said there are 147 million, give or take a few million, orphans in the world as we know it today. Many will die in third world countries and in America, but in third world countries, some very preventable things like malaria and cholera. And she quoted that verse most of us know from James that says, as followers of Christ, we're to take care of widows and orphans. I'm sitting in the back of this, church conference center, and she said, what are you doing about it?
Wow.
And I can remember just going, oh, golly, I didn't know I could do anything about it. And then I thought, the Lord was just stirring my heart, and I thought, I must be called to like volunteer at a shelter more, or go on more trips to orphanages, or give more money. And the Lord just kept stirring my heart, and I started praying. And what's so sweet is I think I had a real orphan spirit growing up. Our dad left when I was little. There's some molestation. I just felt fatherless my whole life. And the fact that God he's such a good father, he's such a redeemer, that he just whispered over and over again until I was finally had enough faith to believe him. He said, I want you to adopt a kid.
Wow.
And I lost 2 domestic adoptions. And I was actually in Dallas 2 weeks after I lost one. I was not supposed to be that child's mom. I was supposed to be in the story. And then the other one was just heartbreaking, fell apart at the very end. I was in Dallas 2 weeks after that, devastated, and a friend called and said, Lisa, I just got home from Haiti, and while I was in Haiti, one of the young moms there died of AIDS, and she said she left behind a 2.5-year-old who has HIV and a lot of other ancillary illnesses, and the doctors in Port-au-Prince have said she's going to die in the next couple of months unless really anybody from a first world country stands in the gap for her. And she goes, I remember you said you wanted a kid nobody was standing in line for, and that's not because I'm kind, it's because I'm single. So I said, best case scenario, they go to moms and daddies, but if there's a pumpkin who nobody's standing in line for, consider me. And she said, I remembered you saying that. She said, would you pray? I didn't know anything about Missy. I knew she was 2.5, didn't have a picture, but I knew she was 2.5. She was in Haiti, and she was very, very sick. And she said, would you pray about this? And I said, nope. I said, I've been praying about this for 30 years. Sign me up. And then I got off the phone. Lest y'all think I'm holy, I got off the phone and said a word that's not in the Bible, because I was like, oh, goodness gracious, what have I done?
Yowzers.
Yowzers. That's exactly the word I said, Tony. It's in Hebrew.
Yeah.
But I realized I am so in over my head. I don't know how to do this. And I felt the Holy Spirit say, that's exactly where I like you, because then you have to lean on me. This isn't about you. And then you just do one step at a time. So it's been amazing. It's been amazing. It took 2 years.
I think we're the most like Jesus, if I can say that respectfully, when we reach for the least of these.
Yes.
The Bible talks about the spirit of adoption, that he didn't have to choose us.
That's right.
But he chose us.
That's right.
And what an act, what a Christ-like act to say, I don't even need to know what they look like.
No.
I'll take her.
No. And I'm convinced we look exactly alike now.
Well,
except for the fact that she has abs. That's really the only way you can tell she's not my biological kid. But it has been unbelievable because friends of mine now who've known me my whole life, my family, they're like, we really can't imagine a child that is more custom made for you. Who would have known that God all along knew this in your story? He just had to grow you to the point of trusting him. I mean, it's been unbelievable.
And the redemptive power of for you and Vicky in your story of adoption is that once they come into your spiritual and bloodline, your DNA, you're in Abraham for them. They're in Isaac. That means that from this point forward, whatever else is in their generational background, from this point on, their bloodline is blessed. From this point forward. And there's some people watching that maybe they haven't had the opportunity, like you said, to be able to have biological children. But I just pray that maybe that spirit of adoption would come on them because they can redeem. They can redeem a bloodline. I mean, what a powerful thought that you could.
And even if you don't feel called to literal adoption, like God has so blessed us. People are like, "Oh, you saved that little girl." I'm like, "Oh no, I got the long end of the stick." It's been incredible. But even if you don't go the full adoption route, find people around you who are worn slap out and say, let me borrow your kids for a weekend. Let me take your kids and love on your kids. I decided when I was about 40, I thought, I have a choice. I can either be self-protective because I'm not in a family and my heart can get hard, or I can allow my heart to be plowed up and soft, and I'll get hurt every now and then. But I'm going to have this rich, full life if I just dive into love. And I'm so grateful that I would always ask my friends, can I take your kids for a while? Or can I go to Chuck E. Cheese's with y'all, which is almost like sinful, I think. That's a scary, hard place. I have to pray hard after I leave.
Absolutely.
But kids, I mean, everything is sweeter when you have children in your life. It's harder, they wear you out. But I think my friends used to say, Lisa, you will get the fatherhood of God when you have a child. And I think, You don't really know it until you actually get to bring that kid into your life. And I said, the day I brought her home, it's like God changed the topography of my heart. I didn't know it could get that big. I felt like my ribs were going to break. It's been amazing. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Let me ask you this. I knew he was God. He's the Father. He loves us. I didn't understand God as Father. Until I had kids. Is that the same for you?
I didn't think he was as good a father. I mean, I could give you the theological stuff and a few words I memorized from seminary, but I saw him a little more as kind of a unibrowed librarian. Like he was not necessarily mad at me, but there was a distance. I felt closer to Jesus, but God the Father, I just wanted to behave because I didn't want to get, him
you don't want to get in trouble.
50-pound Bible. And I mean, when Missy messes up, and she's an amazing kid, but she's a kid. She's got a strong will. And the other day, she was such a stinker. And she said, Mama, are you going to spank me? And I said, actually, I think you need a hug. And I just went over to her and held her. And of course, then she fell apart and cried and told me she was sorry for taking my iPad and adding an app that was expensive.
Well.
But...
we have a witness here in Dallas tonight.
She's a smart little pumpkin. But I held her and I thought, so often I'm expecting God's wrath and I get mercy.
Yes.
And so, I see glimpses of his kindness.
At TBN, our mission is to use every available means to reach as many individuals and families as possible with the life-changing gospel of Jesus Christ.
Thank you for helping make the gospel of grace go around the world.
Without you, we couldn't do it. God bless you.